abridged version. If we had needed to read his full profile, that would just be all we'll be taking for this session. So thank you so much, everyone, for staying on the call. I'll be yielding the floor to our facilitator. He had been here even earlier and well ready to take on the floor. Dr. Olufemi Ogunlowo, you have the floor. You're welcome, sir. Your mic is still muted.
Thank you so much, facilitator and moderator. I guess it's a real privilege to be amongst the elite professionals. So thank you so much for inviting me to participate in today's learning session. I'm just going to be leading the process, but most definitely we're all going to be learning together. You know, in this profession that we are in as human resource professionals, one thing that is sure and certain is that we are permanently in school. Sometimes the theory of the case and the practical implications of the case seem to be at loggerheads, you know, and we have to always find that balance, you know, to be able to take the decisions that are right for our organization and for the people that we manage. So today you have invited me to lead the conversation on the Stability Playbook, basically securing talent pipeline when budget constraints are there. You know, but in this market, I guess, as we all know, the issues we contend with are not just budget constraints. You know, so as we going into this conversation together, I hope that we will all participate, share our experiences, so that we all can learn together. As much as possible, even though I know it's sometimes very difficult to achieve that virtually, I would do my best for us to have a participatory interaction. And so occasionally I'll pause, I'll mute my mic and yield the floor, you know, to others to talk relating to whatever issue that we're leading on at that point in time. So I hope the moderator would help me, knowing well the members, to call those who might. Of course, I will ask everybody and anybody who has something to say, but because of our time also, sometimes it would be nice to have the perspective of someone who might be in that particular situation at this moment. And if the moderator knows such, you could back channel them and ask them if they would like to share experiences with us. So thank you. I don't know if you have house rules relating to the virtual training. So for instance, time allocated, I didn't get guidance on all of those things. But what I've done is that I know that the session that goes too long usually loses its impact. So I've prepared just about 20 to 25 minutes of me talking, and the rest of it, we should be able to talk together. But like I said, I'll be punctuating my own talk to also let others talk in this process. So first, let's start by actually getting to understand our context here. And now, like I said, this is just leading the conversation, and definitely it will not have all of the issues. But if you have something in particular you'd like to add, please feel free. I've put our context in 3 distinct boxes. And the 4th box is basically about what we must then do as HR practitioners. Now, the first context in which we operate is the fact that Nigeria is just a really tough place to do business for anybody, anyone. It's a tough place to govern. It's a tough place to be a child, you know. I mean, you can imagine, as you see in movies, a child will say, I want to go for a walk in the park. right, with the parents. Weekend, the child is not bored because he could go to the park near the parents' home, play in the park with children their age. They can walk down the street and they will find a basketball court where they can play with, their age mates. In our own time growing up, we did those things on the streets, playing football and all of that. But today, in many communities where we all live, they are gated. The infrastructures are not there for children to play. Even when there are playgrounds, they are not entirely, in the best of states. Electricity supply itself is a challenge. All of us mostly have to run electricity using a combination of many sources, from grid to diesel to solar and inverter and so on and so forth. So the operating environment in which we as a people conduct our business is just tough on its own. Now, apart from the toughness of that environment, we also have economic hardship or maybe challenging economic situation. Most of our businesses rely on availability of foreign currency for us to be able to do meaningful business. We've experienced volatility. This is probably one of the markets where the savings rate is significantly lower than inflation rate, which simply means that when you have 100,000 naira in January and the bank promises you a 5, 10, 15% interest on that money when you put it with them, in the real sense, when you collect that money in December with that interest, it will not even buy for you what the 100,000 naira alone on its own could have bought in January. So basically, the headwind is there against all of us. So the inflation rate is higher than the savings rate. The volatility does not help in terms of ability to properly plan. And then the environment itself is challenging. But the truth of the matter is that in chaos, there are also opportunities. So in some instances, businesses have had to then actually freeze employment, especially following some of the critical changes that happened to redirect the economy for better stability, which we are now enjoying. And of course, we all remember the issues relating to minimum wage. And if you look at it today, even a manager that earns 1.5 million naira at the end of the month is basically earning $1,000. And $1,000 probably is not probably up to minimum wage in some other environments. So even our very high-paying roles, when you look at purchasing power parity or you look at the just literal direct conversion, you find out that, look, it's a tough place. And what does that mean? It means that people will seek better. And that is what opens the door for the Japa syndrome, the Japa phenomenon, the Japa, situation. Because people will Japa to find greener pastures. So Japa is a response to situation, and yet some people's responses to that situation is actually how to harness the opportunities that are present in that situation. Because even in adversity, there are sometimes will be opportunities. Maybe not even sometimes, maybe always. Because whereas some people might be complaining about the toughness of the environment, the toughness of the economic situation, the toughness of the landscape, some people would actually take another lens and look at that landscape and find what they can do to benefit from that situation. And so we have a skill gap paradox that is caused by the syndrome that the few people we have that are good are also seeking better opportunities abroad, so creating greater gaps for us in this market. So we begin to experience the brain drain, and it's deepening. And so to find accommodation, to find the workforce you need today, you have to be creative. So stability is hard, without doubt. At this point, I'll just probably take one or two comments relating to the experiences of those who are on this call. with the economic situation, maybe the JAPA, have you had a situation in your business where critical staff have left in the last 3 years? If you would like to share 1 or 2 examples with us, and then we'll move on.
Okay, I have a hand up.
Yes, please.
Okay.
My name is Adeyemi Ajayi, a fellow of FCIPM. Thank you very much, our fellow, Dr. Femi Ogunlowo, for the well-elaborate presentation of the fact, as it were, the reality. I call them the stark reality of our time. I work within the health sector. I lead the HR team within the health sector. And I can say, that indeed the talent mobility in our sector is, we are one of the most hit in terms of the JAPA syndrome, because a lot of our people are being attracted even to countries like Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, just because of the economic pressure and the better standard of living that it seems to be offered in such environment. In the last 2 to 3 years, I can say that many of our critical roles, we've had to struggle to be able to retain many of our critical roles that we need to even sustain quality of our services. And the struggle continues. As much as we try to even put in place a lot of benefit, the right environment to be able to have them even stay. The fact that we are contending with a global phenomenon makes it tougher. And quite a number of the things that we are able to do are not things that can be done remotely. So it puts further pressure, even on the aspect of knowledge management is another issue. Because again, as people are living, very few of them are interested in codifying their knowledge in order for us to even be able to pass it on, even as they live. So most times we are practically struggling to get them to coach and mentor, other people. And this goes on. With the new tax law, again, is another pressure on income. We are in the period, the season, where organizations are looking at their reward system, right? In terms of, taking decision around last year's performance review towards salary review and all of those things. I know a lot of companies do theirs early January, but most companies will do that around, the beginning of the second quarter of the year when they are done with the full year appraisal review. With the new tax system now, even if you increase salary, if you are not careful, people's net pay is not significantly different, even when you are to top up the gross pay, because of the tax element that is coming, because it could take them to the next tax bound, and that could mean, not so much of a value. I think I'll leave it there. That is just to also situate the context, around our current realities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Let's take one more, and then we'll move on. Moderator, do we have any other person who's willing to share?
At the moment, there is no hand raised.
All right, so thank you. So we'll move on. So what must we do in HR? There are 2 things that are critical for us, because we are talking about a pipeline, and a pipeline is a continuum, but it has a beginning and an end. There is no pipeline that doesn't have an end. Otherwise, it's a pipewire to nowhere. So it has a beginning where it starts from, and it has an end where it terminates to. And so as HR professionals, our role is to ensure that we have in place the structures that brings in the right people at the entry point, keeps them the right people, and I'm using the word right people, in the pipeline, such that they can continue to move in that pipeline, but recognizing the critical roles that we must, as a matter of necessity, ring-fence at all times. And we're going to look at practical ways by which we can do that. So, what is a resilient talent pipeline. What exactly is that? By way of definition, I would say that it's an end-to-end system that is designed to do critical things that ensures business continuity regardless of external disruptions. So irrespective of what is going on the outside, the pipeline with its coating protects what is flowing through it. Except you rip off the pipeline, cause major damage. Even when the pipe is bent, if it's flexible, the flow will still continue. So what are those critical things that the pipeline must do for us? The first is it must be attractive. The pipeline must attract. So you're going to ask yourself this question today. You're on this call as an HR practitioner. What are the things we have deliberately, intentionally put in place in our business to be attractive to those who are competent and trained for this industry? It's intentional. How do we attract the right talent? Before you can keep, you must attract. So don't let's struggle with keeping first. Let's ask ourselves that stability goal. How do we attract? Because our stability starts from the fact that we can attract. If you look at different football teams, you'll find out that when a team is playing in the Champions League, for instance, it's able to attract top talents. The same team, if it's in relegation, might not be able to attract the same talent. In fact, some of the talents that are within would also go out to go and find greener pastures. So the first question we must ask ourselves is, what are the policies? What are the practices? What are the principles? What are the environments that we have prepared in our business for our talent pipeline to attract the right kind of people at the very beginning of the funnel? And when I say the right kind of people, I'm not even talking about more experienced people. I'm talking about the entry-level people who will have the opportunity to grow within the system, to understand the culture over time, and to become future leaders. If you can't attract great potentials as your future generation, then you will not be able to build true great talents. The next thing is, what do we do in our assessment? What exactly are the criteria we have put in place in our assessment to actually select the best of the best that have come through our channel that we have attracted? How do we conduct our interviews? What experience do we give our potential candidates? What structures do we have that can make them challenge status quo and know that this is a place where there is freedom of expression of thought? Or is it just another workplace? So we must be deliberate, not only in sourcing, we must be deliberate in selecting. Or do we actually do our selection based on sentiments? Do we actually, you are bringing in someone who is supposed to be an analyst? Does that selection process have an assessment of a situation where they are actually presenting an analytical report as part of the process for review that enables us to know that not only can they say the right things, but they can also do the right things? How do we do our onboarding process? The person that has been selected, does that person come in and they feel welcomed from day one? Do they come in from day one and they begin to see that the support system is there? Everybody is willing, happy, and ready to help them. Everybody is truly not only talking about the core values, but exhibiting those core values of the organization in reality. What processes do we have in place for those that we keep to continue to develop their skills and own their skills? This is the time where we have to be intentional. It's truly not the time again where we'll say, oh, you worked 35 years. Yeah, we could still find that. But the opportunities that people have today, they can tap into it from wherever they are in the world. So if you don't give them a good reason to stay with you, then you are giving them several reasons to go out there. And you can see that the funnel begins to narrow. Because indeed, if you have a class of 100 cadets, maybe only one of them will become a general. So how do you nurture to make sure that it's the right one? So what are the things we have in place for mobility within the organization to ensure that people go to the right places and have the right experiences that will enable them to continue to grow in their career, such that the talent pipeline of the organization itself is not disrupted? What engagements do we have in place? Now, all of these are questions, and the answers will only come from what we do in our organizations, not what we talk about, but what we truly do. So at the end of the day, our pipeline can be broken by a variety of factors. It could be training budgets that are indiscriminately cut that does not allow us to develop people accordingly. It could be someone just exercising their authority to choose a candidate that does not, in the opinion of other panelists, was not the best for that role. It could be just a freeze on hiring due to external factors, which then dries up the pipeline at some point. Or it could even be managerial bottlenecks and lack of coaching and mentoring within the organization itself. So if we are going to have a resilient talent pipeline, it's not only one point that we have to look at. We must pay attention to the building blocks, attracting the right people, selecting the right people based on clearly defined criteria, which any objective observer would come to the same conclusion based on the assessments. Yes, we cannot argue that interviews could be subjective, but outcomes are not. The process of interview might be a subjective thing. If you are not objective about it, the outcome of that person in your employment would not be subjective. So it means that right from the beginning, we must pay attention to ensure that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks are well dealt with at every point in time. So, as we all know, you can do a number of things, usually, whether it's with talent or assets. You can build a house, you can buy a house. You can borrow, you can say, okay, I'm coming to Ibadan tomorrow, can I sleep in your house? And the same thing applies to talent. But what must we do? You must be clear-eyed about your strategy regarding to your pipeline building. So what must we build? You must be clear. In our institution, in our organization, and maybe we'll come to our fellow in that hospital and ask critical questions. What are the critical roles that it's not just about us buying? So for instance, in hospitals, they can fly in surgeons. They don't need to have all of the expertise in-house because not all the expertise are required every day. And when it is required, you can schedule something and somebody can come in and perform that particular procedure. And so you have specialists. But if you have a hospital where you come in today and you can't see a general practitioner just because you have malaria or this or that, they say, wait, the doctor is coming tomorrow. Oh my God, it's a different thing. So what must we build? You must clear that question and be unapologetic about it, and knowing therefore that you must put all the resources necessary in it to build it. What can we borrow? Because the pipeline, what can we borrow to make sure that we continue to get the things we need done? What can we boost? And what bridges must we build? So these 5 Bs are essential levers for our stability within the organization. And so I'm just going to ask, the participants to share with us in their organization if they have asked these critical questions, and anybody can tell us, build, 1, we are trying to build 1, 2, 3, 4. Buy, we are trying to buy this. Build, bridge, we are trying to bridge that. Borrow, these are the things we are borrowing. Boost, just maybe 1 or 2 participants who can share their experiences with us. Thank you. Moderator?
Yeah, I'm watching out for hands to be up, or do we want us to be called? So do we have anyone that wants to share their experience if they have used any of the levers, either to build, to buy, build?
Yes, Olari, Waju's hand is up.
Okay, yes, now, yes, you have the floor, Mr. Larry.
All right, sir. Good day, colleagues. I just want to toe the line of my fellow that spoke earlier. I once worked in a construction sector, maybe some 2, 3, 4 years ago, and we were also hit by this japa of a thing. And you all agree with me that in the last 5 years or thereabout, even in Lagos, Nigeria, there have been many cases of building collapsing. So there's a lot of focus on that sector, which means you must have the competent hands available. Now, we're now being hit again by JAPA, and much more also internally. The engineers, they're also looking at the oil and gas field. So we were boxed, as it were. Now, for me, as the head of HR then, I'm just part of the strategy that we used was that we actually want to grow our own talent internally. And the idea was we look at a 3-year plan, and we invested in graduate trainee fresh from school. And then we felt that, okay, if we get, let's say year 1, we bring in 10 people. We also have at the back of our minds, okay, let's assume that 7 will go away, and then we're able to retain 3. And then we know that over the line, we can grow those 3. Then year in, year out, the following year, we bring in more, we move them forward. So that was a model that we used. Now, along the line, JAPA also hit our IT department. And while we were trying to source replacement, we were looking at our financial muscle, and we felt that we couldn't cope as it were. So what we now did was that we felt, okay, this was not, though it's a required function for our operations, but it's not our strength because we're into construction. So what we did was to outsource that function. We just got a company and said, okay, this is what we want you to do. Cover our IT department. What we just need, we want coverage for social hours. Whoever comes, we don't care. This is what we want for us. Vis-a-vis some, how would I call it, SLA, so also to protect our data, to protect some things. And so that's just what that I was involved, that worked for me. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like for you to use these 5 labels, right? And it doesn't mean that you would have experience in your organization with the 5, but if you're going to say build, buy, bridge, borrow could also be rent, right? Boost.
Yeah.
So can you use this model to try and say, okay, we decided to build site engineers.
For the technical skills, for the skills that we've built, okay, this is what is required in our field. We build those on. That's why we said, okay, we got in graduate trainees fresh from school, just out of NYSC, and we began to invest in them. So we build that because we know that's our core, and we didn't want to toy with it. We had the required the skill that we want from them. We have it in house, so we build that by getting fresh out of school. So that was built. For the IT that I meant, that I said that I use an example now, I would say that was bought because we actually outsourced. We got in those guys. So maybe I should just stop at those two.
All right. Did you borrow anything? For instance, did you have a revolving door to say, you know what, we're just going to get the NYC every year to send us 100 engineers, 10 engineers, 20 engineers. We know they're here for a month and for a year, but we'll use it as a continuous feeder into low-level site management activities, whether as clerks or reporting engineers or whatever it is. But it's just going to be our strategy. We are not going to hire. Okay.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, year in and year out, we were reaching out to NYC for those people as they were in. We reach out to them. So we did that. So we borrowed that. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Any other person? All right. In the absence of any other person willing to share, let's go on. So we can build, we can buy, we can bridge, we can borrow, we can boost. And we must know which of our roles we're doing this with. And it's really not on the whims. It's really about careful design. So we have 12 project sites in Ibadan, Uyo, etc. We are going to ask the NYC to give us 4 engineers in each of those locations, because the cost of those 4 engineers put together is not even up to the cost of one experienced engineer. So we are going to use that strategy, to be borrowing that time on the site. But we know that those NYC guys would not have the experience to deal with certain types of work. And so those kind of work, we might buy the time of an experienced person who is probably director in the Ministry of Works, of, let's say, or your state, your project is in Osun State, the person comes once in 2 weeks, is paid X amount, or, the head of a consultancy. I'm just giving examples, so it's deliberate, because we are talking about pipeline in difficult times, especially in an environment where everything appears to be hostile. So a lot of work has been done in this area, and we can find some of those reports. Let me share at least 1 or 2 reports here now in the chat room, so that people who might want to look at them later could look at them. So attach. I can't find attach here. Moderator, I'm trying to attach a file. Usually I can do that on, okay, I've seen it. Okay. I've seen it. Yeah. So I'm attaching a report that you can look at, at your convenience. It's a detailed report by LinkedIn, which shares experiences on internal mobility, workplace learning insights. And it's not a long report, so you can look at it and see if there's anything you can learn from it as an HR practitioner. I actually recommend that you take a moment to look at that report. Now, the economics of stability is not deniable. It costs more to replace your staff than to keep your staff, except where that staff is actually costing you more to be on the job. What does that mean? If you have someone who has worked in your organization for 6 years and they resign, it will cost you more to replace them. First, except you downgrade the person you are bringing in, anybody that is coming in to take their position will ask for a higher pay. There is no doubt about that. We are going to get someone of equivalent experience, of equivalent circumstances to come and take that role. Their asking price will be more than the price of the incumbent. And that's a global phenomenon. Except you say, oh, this person has 6 years experience, but we are going to take someone with 3 years experience and grow them into that role. Again, you lose something because you also lose the experience that the other person had gained over time and the impact of that not having that experience on your job. So without doubt, stability has better economics than instability. So workplace stability is critical for businesses to thrive. So as HR practitioners, it's therefore our responsibility to make sure that we're intentional in having that equilibrium for our organization. If you bring in someone into the job today, however great they are, you said they hit the ground running. Yes, it might appear so, but check it in 6 months' time. You'll find out that they are actually just settling and then beginning to reach their full potential. Irrespective of whatever moves they make in the initial stages that was kind of impressive because they are bringing in maybe new perspectives. And like, oh, we just hired this guy and he's making waves. Fantastic. But the truth of the matter is that external hires take 3 to 6 months to reach full productivity. Whereas if you move somebody who has the level of skills to do that job internally, you cut that speed to performance. So if we talk about speed to performance and speed to productivity, you'll find out that speed to performance is faster with internal movements if we do it right. So it becomes very important for us as HR practitioners to always ask ourselves this question: can I find the right talent from within? And if I do, am I disrupting anything? So that I can just move my talent around and then feed from the under, not rather than from the top. So managers' support for career growth within must be active. It must be something that we are deliberate about. We must encourage our team members. We must provide them with the resources. We must provide them with the environment to grow and flourish, because in doing so, we gain a level of stability in our business that pays better than disruption. Now, the question is, how can we do that? And the question I will ask us on this call today is this. I know that the gentleman who spoke earlier about the engineering firm, obviously, they must have done this exercise to determine the approach to solving the problem. But there are many instances also where we do not see intentional actions on the side of the business to actually map this. So I will ask you, do you have a map of critical role in your organization? If you do, by raise of hand, your virtual hands, please raise your hand if you believe that your organization has mapped the critical roles. Please raise your hand if your organization has mapped the critical roles in...
Linda's hand is up.
Yeah, I only see one hand. I want to see as many of us.
We have 3 now. We have 3 hands up.
Okay, we're about 84 on this call. We are HR professionals. So the question is, have we mapped critical roles in the business? We have 3. We'll invite them soon, but does any other person have that conviction that indeed they have mapped critical roles in the business? Now we have 4. If you have not mapped the critical roles in the business, there is no way you can be intentional about managing them or managing the people who occupy those roles. So for us to show that we are indeed elite HR professionals, we must go back and sit down. It's not what we do by ourselves, because we are not the line managers. We are the HR managers who must bring all of this together and sit down with businesses, the business owners. In some instances, we are working with corporations. In some instances, we are working with, small businesses. Irrespective of the size of the organization, you must sit down at the round table and say, what are the roles that are critical to us? That if this role is not there, we don't even have a business. Or maybe we have a business, but it's a different kind of business. So let me just ask the people who have raised their hand to just mention the roles. You don't even need to mention your company name. Just say 1, 2, 3, these are the roles that are critical to us. This is the line of our business, and this is why that role is critical to us. So we have 4 people, and I'm going to give 1 minute to them each. Moderator.
Okay, Linda.
Good evening, dear colleagues. My name is Linda. Basically, the critical roles I've mapped out for my company. So it's a group of companies, basically. So I work from the group level, I'm the group HR, and I also work with the CEOs, the GCO, and then the board. So there's some specific roles I've mapped out, or we have mapped out collectively, that should not be vacant, which is the CEO roles, the EDs, the committees, the board committees for each subsidiary, the HR roles, the operation managerial roles, the accounts and finance roles. And then, so it's a real estate company, so we deal with a lot of realtors and developers. So internal, there are also some sensitive roles that I've also mapped out in terms of roles that liaise with our sister companies and third party companies we work with, basically. So for those customer service roles, also mapped out as sensitive for us. So we don't, even our media team also are very sensitive to us. So the team leads of all these departments have been mapped out as sensitive. So on no account should those roles be empty or vacant at any point in time. I also have a succession planning scheme for them as well. So when they are going for leave or whatever, or they're out of the country or out of the state, there's always somebody to sit in for those particular people. So that's how I've been working on my company. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 minute each. Moderator, next person.
Larry.
Okay, so maybe I would change the game now, because currently I consult, but I'll just use maybe one of my last function, which happens to be also in healthcare. Now, there are critical roles for the, this was in an hospital setting. Vis-a-vis that, for us in that sector, part of the regulatory requirement we must do annually IFEMA registration. And what that means is that you must have some certificates that must go with that annual, should I call it license or registration, as it were. So you must have qualified doctors or medical officers which that are licensed up to date. You must have licensed nurses. You must have licensed medical laboratory scientists, not people that medical laboratory scientists. You must have licensed pharmacists, and that's just on top of my head at the moment. So those are actually critical to operations, and just not to operations also. As an hospital, before you get the annual license, you must show that you have those people in-house. Thank you.
All right, so you even have a statutory requirement for critical roles in that industry.
Yes, sir.
All right, moderator.
Jessica.
Okay, good afternoon,
Jessica.
professional. Yes, please. Good afternoon, professionals. So I work in hospitality industry, and I'll just mention a few of the critical roles that we have mapped out from our end, and which is first the kitchen manager, and then the head chefs. Like I said, I work in hospitality industry. So the kitchen manager, the executive chef in the different different. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica.
Anyone? No.
Jessica, you can go ahead.
Starting all over, I said I work in the hospitality industry, and for my industry, we've mapped out the kitchen manager, the executive chef in each of the different kitchens that we have, the guest experience personnel, the front office manager, the head housekeeper, the operations manager, the HR manager or GM, the accountants, the significant head of departments. Those are the critical roles that we have mapped out that at no point in time should be vacant, and we have strategies in place to make sure we always maintain them. Thank you.
Hello,
Okay, I think we have one more person, I believe.
Two left.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, like I said earlier on, I work within the medical environment, the healthcare sector, specifically the medical diagnostic sector. Because my company is also ISO 15189 compliant, and we have quality audits every year. And of course, all our professionals they must be licensed for us to even practice. Even the laboratories itself must, of course, meet the quality audit requirements. So, critical roles for us, number one, is a quality assurance department, the team, the quality assurance team. They drive everything that we do because our competitive advantage is actually quality. So that role is very critical. Of course, our laboratory scientists, very, very critical across all our laboratories in the country. We have over 33 across the country. They are very, very critical that we have a graduate training program around it. I've also built an internship program around that to make sure that continuously we always fill that role. I always have the pipeline, take care of that role. We have, of course, our consultant pathologist, because that's a unique differentiator for us also within our sector. That role is very, very critical to us. Within my finance team, my account payable officer is very, very critical because we deal in a lot of Forex and all of that. That role is very, very critical for us. And of course, my treasury manager, very, very critical in that space. Then, of course, we did our procurement team, the supply chain team. They are very critical because most of our reagents are ordered, from, abroad and all of that. So my supply chain team, we cannot afford to joke with them at all at any point in time. In addition to these are, of course, all the heads of functions, which are very critical. But leadership is very critical to us within our sector because experience counts within that industry. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moderator, is that the last speaker on that?
Esiri's hand is up.
Okay. Good evening, professionals.
Go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay, good evening, professionals. I work in the financial services sector, insurance to be precise. Our core roles, we have roles required by the regulator that we must have. First of which is the ED technical, who is meant to be a successor to the MD when the MD leaves. So we must have the same qualifications with the MD. We must have a chief compliance officer. We must have a chief finance officer. We must have in the technical department, we must have head of underwriting, head of reinsurance, head of claims. And then for the marketing, those are not regulated, but definitely we must have foot soldiers that are going to the market to do the marketing. And then for those, then we must have head of ICT. And then under data protection, we must also have a data protection officer. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us, everyone.
That is all. Sir, doctor, sir.
Yes, please.
Your screen is not on, your slide is not on slideshow. You can just fix that, sir.
Are we there now?
Yes.
All right.
We are.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for sharing, everyone. For those of us who are yet to do the mapping, it's a critical exercise because indeed, if we want to manage a pipeline, we must know to which end we are managing it. And it's therefore a necessity, not nice to have. I mean, imagine that in some of the industries that have shared experiences with us today, it's actually a regulatory requirement. So impose something on yourself that helps you to have a dashboard where you can actually see what's going on and know that, okay, if my head of claim resigns today, I have 3 people that are qualified in waiting that can move up that role so I cannot be exposed. Because that's what pipeline management means. Pipeline management does not mean you have one head of claim, but no successors if that person is not available. But you can't deliberately do that if you have not identified those roles. So please, I implore us to go back and take a critical look at the operations and identify those roles that are critical to success that we must always have visibility on and ability to respond quickly should there be any disruption. Now, and part of how we can do that is also not only relying on classroom training, but investing on hands-on on the job stretch. So for instance, do we have 2-3 people or 1 or 2 persons who are actually attached to the head of claim, who work with him like a college of claim experts, such that you know deliberately that that exercise is going on? It doesn't mean that the person doesn't have the authority. They have the authority, but did you institutionalize, as an example, a claims review clinic every week such that it enables for that on-the-job stretch to happen, not only at the discretion of one person, but in an institutionalized way? And how can we do this in a manner that doesn't also affect productivity or performance? So how can we tie this to actually make the output better? So can we say, for instance, all the claims that are going to be passed for signature for settlement, as an example, will be reviewed by a board of claims board, just for want of a better name. And we know that the purpose of that is to ensure that deliberately we are giving the opportunity to people not only to be analytical, to just review on their desk, but to also have the opportunity of stretching by interaction. Because there's a difference between me sending my work to my supervisor and my supervisor and I and 3 other people sitting down at the table, and we are reviewing all of the things together. One creates a better training and readiness climate than the other. One feels more like superior subordinate situation. The other feels more like collegiate situation if done properly, and it provides the opportunity for systemic review and also systemic build of intentional succession. And so I can't advise, but my call to all of us on this call today will be, what opportunities can we create in our systems that will enable to shift focus from classroom, to shift focus from direct, whereas that is critical for day-to-day work, direct supervision, but to introduce formal processes that enable us to build structures of knowledge. I mean, in medical, you see, the doctor is doing ward round. He's not doing it alone. All the doctors and again, I'm talking about, say, for instance, a teaching hospital. You see 4, 5, 6 doctors in that review session with that professor. who is therefore using that opportunity to train those who are in residency and so on. You know, so if we can do that, it will be a great opportunity for us to build systems internally where people gain experience from more experienced persons. Now, I will also share with you the GROW, and I'm sure many of us are familiar with the GROW coaching model. I'm sharing it now in the chat room if you want to take a look at it, and maybe share it with your managers to use it in a deliberate form. Just a minute. Chat room. And I do hope people will take a look at that LinkedIn report, you know, GROW coaching model. I've shared also the GROW coaching model with us. For those of us who have used it before, you'll find out that it's a strong tool, you know, to use to develop our people. So if you have used GROW or any other coaching method before, and you'd like to share with us in 1 minute, please indicate and do so very quickly.
Do we have anyone who had used the group coaching model?
Or any other coaching model?
Or any other one? Let's speak up. We are a tribe of shameless learners. So let's share, let's share, let's share.
Anybody? Okay, so maybe I will reframe the question. If you have a deliberate coaching system in your organization, please indicate by show of hand.
I don't want to disturbance. Just I want to sleep. Go downstairs. Elena, take your father downstairs. Go and watch downstairs. Go.
If you have a coaching system, because we are building pipelines, we are maintaining pipelines, and we can't do that without being deliberate in knowledge sharing, knowledge, you know, career development, and that means that more experienced people have to intentionally grow others. So if you have in your system a coaching and mentoring platform, please indicate by show of hand. All right, I'm going to rephrase the question again. If you are in a position to work with your leadership to put in place a deliberate coaching and mentoring system for your organization, please indicate. All right, I'm going to also rephrase the question. If you are on this call and you're in HR leadership, which not HR officer, HR leadership, you know, general manager, HR, chief human resource officer, executive director, HR, chief learning officer, whatever, CRO, chief recruitment officer, can you please indicate?
We have almost everyone here, and I'm surprised no one is speaking. I'm surprised no one is speaking. Okay, so let me share. And also for clarity, the coaching model is different and definitely different from the mentoring model, in the sense that, yeah, for the mentoring session, yeah, in my organization, we have at least 2 of the subordinates. So we have the head of department and mandatorily at least 2 even if they are on supervisory level or potential supervisors, that the head of department is expected to mentor. So there is a framework of every 3 months you are expected to train, and then you will have the expectation. It is well spelled out, and the report is shared at the end of the session. What is expected for these 2 people to be able to do in terms of leadership, in terms of taking ownership, in terms of operation, and also to build them, even to learn, share some courses with them and all that. So there is a mentoring framework, which is also, and that was what I said, that it's different from the coaching session. The coaching session is when, we have it that at least once, at least for each of the units, the manager will speak with every one of the team members on a one-on-one basis, where he or she tends to ask, questions around what the person is doing in alignment to the organization. So in this case, it's not even it's not direct. It doesn't have to be about the job. It could also be about the person's personality, what you intend to achieve. Because even when we are having the individual development plan, the individual would share, this is who I am, this is what I intend to do, and then on that basis, they are able to follow through from where the person wants to, from where the person is, and where the person wants to get to. So most it is at the coaching level, we leave that for a 1 year session. And then because it's expected that at least, even if it is not a short-term goal, if it's a longer time goal, in the course of the 1 year, you are able to track where you have been able to get to in that regard. So I just thought to share that so that maybe we have more participants that will volunteer to share what they are doing in their respective organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate it. Is anybody willing to share now, or we move on?
Larry's hand is up. Larry's hand is up.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Maybe I should just say this. I should start this with that. I have worked both in a structured organization and what we can call unstructured organization. However, there is something I'm very big on, and that is employee well-being. And I always say this to employees, that the moment you are on leave and you do not have a life, because there's nobody that can do what you do, then there's a problem. So because of that, I actually start this. I don't want to be sure. Should I call it a model that, such that most of the function are actually, they have what we call like SOP. Oh, for HR recruitment, these are our process manual. For this process, this is what to follow, like a process manual for all function. And so when people needs to go, let's say an HOD needs to go on leave now, that is a moment to test, okay, how people can actually run with those policies. So for me, I could call it, that's the informal way to actually, that I used to address this thing we're talking about this evening, that to make sure that people actually understudy and they can stay on their own. So that's model I adopt. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm sharing with you a few case studies, and you can read up on them. I'm just going to be sharing maybe 2 or 3 case studies and the impact, and also share with us some pipelines that are available in the country today that we can tap on to help us also strengthen our own pipeline. So if you want to see leadership continuity case study, you can read up about Unilever and its internal pipeline strength, how someone who came in on a program, future leadership program in 2009, indeed became the CEO. And I guess that is a clear testament of building internal pipeline in a real sense. You can also look at the FunCap UNICEF partnership, which has a goal to reach 3 million Nigerian youths, equipping them with future-ready skills to bridge the gap between education and employment. And so if you are looking to tap into people that have been prepped, if you're looking to engage entry-level staff who have also been equipped beyond just going to the 4 walls of the university, that's a good place to look. And you might find, because they've already equipped over 900,000 Nigerians in their database to date, who have gone through all of those kinds of training that can prepare them for the workplace. If you also want to look at technical talents in the area of IT, you might also want to look at the 3MTT program. The 3 Million Technical Talent Program is equipping Nigerians to build a strong technical backbone, because outsourcing, and by the way, Nigeria is one of the hottest hubs. I have a company called Jada, or I'm part of the owners of a company called Jada, who is based in Nigeria, and all our clients are offshore, completely all over the world. But all of the IT guys are working right from here in Nigeria, and they're earning dollars sitting at home. Now, they don't have the environment of maybe the good roads or the hospital or this or that, but in terms of income, they are bettering their lives because they are attracting better paying jobs, even right from here. And so the federal government's program, the 3MTT, which is by the Ministry of Communications and Technology, the program utilizes a hybrid model combining self-paced online courses and physical applied learning clusters. Employers can plug in, organizations can tap into this massive pipeline immediately to solve talent shortages in areas that require, IT skills. You offer internships, provide 3-month placements for practical experience, and then, you take it from there. And so when we're talking about pipeline building, pipeline management, it's also about knowing where those resources are, to be able to tap into them. There are 12 core skill areas for the 3MTT programs, and I'm sure we can all read up on that and see how that fits into whatever we're doing within our organization, and see if there's anything that we can learn from it, borrow from it, buy from it, or build from it. Now, it's up to you what you do, because at the end of the day, knowledge is not just about acquiring it, it's about applying it. So how do you apply the interaction we've all had today? How do we go back as HR practitioners? We must have an action plan. This is just like showing what an action plan could look like, but you would have to determine your own action plan. You would have to determine what is your current situation. So you must start from diagnosis. You must start from mapping. Okay, what are the roles that we have in this job or in this business? What are the critical roles? What do I have? If my head of finance resigns today, do I have to bring somebody from outside? There's nothing wrong in that, but it's just that you lose 6 months, like you have said. Or do I have 2-3 people in waiting that can also become the head of finance, eventually? You have to ask yourself that question and put in place strategies, and to do it. And you must also have metrics that will guide you, or things that you would, keep monitoring to ensure that whatever strategies you put in place are leading to goal stability, within your organization. Of course, piloting is critical. How do I pilot? There are so many things you could pilot gig marketplace within your organization, where someone who is in, say for instance, admin, but you don't know the skills that people have. Somebody is in admin overnight, the guy is doing coding and is a great IT talent, but you don't know. But this guy can probably work with, he's already in the organization, he has the culture and everything. So if you create that gig market even within your own business, where people can do work outside of their line, but with remuneration and reward that is separate, you might find out that there's a whole lot more talent that is within the organization than you know. I remember many years ago in my company, we wanted to develop something, and it was one of the clerks. I don't want to mention his name or anything. He had built those skills and talent outside of the organization, and we built it. He was paid separately, rewarded for his time and everything. But what we saved in terms of giving it to consultants, and we are currently also doing the same as we speak. We are changing all our IT infrastructure, because this is the era of AI. You must have agentic AI built into your systems and everything. We are looking out for consultants. Is somebody from our recruitment team who was in our branch office that we suddenly realized had all the skills. He's our head of development today. but it was in recruitment in our Jibu office. So the point I'm trying to make is that you might have more skills internally than you know. And the only way you can know is if you make those opportunities open and available. You know, make internal announcements. Share the plan of the organization at the level at which people can relate with it, and they can raise their hands if they have something that they can add to it. Because if somebody doesn't know that you want to develop some things and they have the skills, they can't say, oh, I can develop it. So if you have any experience you want to share with us, we have 5 minutes to the end of my session. If you have any experience you want to share with us in terms of how you have been able to tap someone from the inside to do something critical, which you ordinarily would not have expected that you can find somebody from the inside to do, and you'd like to share with us, the floor is yours. Moderator.
Yeah, I'm checking. No hand is up yet, and we are already behind time. So
okay.
we just need to wrap up. Yes, sir.
All right. So I think that's it for me. There are many tools that are available out there for everybody, and you can actually tap into them to build stability for your organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so kindly, Dr. Olufemi. Can I have the hands up? Can we please give him a round of applause? And please, if you have any question, I noted a question that was asked earlier, but if you have more questions, we can quickly take this in the next 5 minutes. Yes, please, if you have any question directly, he had explained it in granular, and yes, I must say that we had the best shared from him today. We had the best shared from him today. He spoke from all angles, explaining how it is critical, how it is very, very critical for us to be attractive. Even, yes, there is chaos in the environment, the economy, there is hardship. Yes, acknowledging that. But he also mentioned that when we look at it from another lens, we can also still bring out lots of opportunities from the chaos, from the adversity. So in all that we even see in that chaos, in that adversity, yes, in that toughness, right? When people are even living, we can still bring out the best in what we have. And then he also explained how we can achieve that. Creativity, what else can we do? I love that. Yes, I used to know buy, borrow, build, but you added to it that we can boost. And who can also share the last one? He said we can boost. Who is here? What was the last one? Buy, borrow, build, boost.
Thelma has answered you.
Bridge.
Bridge. Thank you.
Bridge.
Thank you. Now I know that I'm not alone. Yes, I used to know build, buy, and borrow, but now he had added boost and bridge. And we all know that all these are ways that we can help in making stability, having stability in our environment. And absolutely, it pays to build, it pays to increase people's capacity. It's very, very expensive. And time is precious. You cannot even monetize that time that is lost in bringing the next person up to speed, right? In terms of the quality, it pays that we have stability. And yes, if you have not mapped out those critical roles in your organization, it had helped us, right? Checking it, look at it in that way. Look, what can you do from now to 30 days? What can you do? Have a roadmap. What can work in your organization, right? And then have an enablement as pilot, and then look at how you can expand and scale up, right? Please, it is important. It is not how much he had explained to us. It is for us to put them into practice. It is in the implementation of the knowledge that we have gained so far. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much for sharing. We cannot
Just to mention very quickly, I've also shared at 1832 in the chat room the major national pipelines so that people can look at them and see where you can tap from.
You know, I mentioned the doctor came prepared for us. He had shared so many, so many documents with us. He had shared the the Grow coaching model, and that everyone can make use of once you have an alignment, right? He had also shared the reports on LinkedIn. He had now shared this document. I believe some of our team members would help put that on the group chat for us to review, especially for those that are not on the Zoom app. They can have that document. Thank you so much, Doctor. Who I've not seen any hands up. Do we have any other question or acknowledgement? Please let us give Doctor another round of applause. Let us give Doctor another round of applause. You have done so well. Thank you so much, Dr. Olufemi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for. And please stay here. I believe we might still have more people that have questions for us. And while taking that again, for those that joined us in between, our 9th annual conference is here. Please, let's get prepared. 19th to 21st November 2026. It's always a 3 days program. Let's get prepared for that. I will also be calling on one of the corporate communications and corporate social responsibility member that will be sharing with us. But before that, I will be calling on Modrotoluwa Ajayi, as the first vice president of the association, to give a vote of thanks to the speaker while we take on the other announcements. If he's here, if he's not here, I will be calling on the director of learning, capacity development, in the person of Olariwaju William, to give a vote of thanks to the speaker.
Okay, thank you very much, Antoine. Sir, I would like to, on behalf of Association of Elite Human Resource Professionals, I would like to say a very big thank you to you for sharing out of your knowledge. We understand that even other than your knowledge, time is understand the time value, the worth of time. And for you to have actually carved out this period for us, we know what it means. We want to say a very big thank you to you. We take it not for granted. A lot has been learned. Don't just look at our people that there are no responses. I guess our people are soaking it in. Personally, I added to my knowledge, and it's worthy to say that you made it very simple and relatable. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. And well, we don't expect anything else, because as a fellow of the institute, so we expect that that's what we are known for. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Olufemi. Thank you. We appreciate that.
All right. So I can take my leave at this point?
Yes, at this point you can take your leave. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, cheers.
Yeah. So if you are not a member of the Association of Elite Human Resource Professionals and you love what we do, you can use your scan code to, you have the barcode here that you can scan to join us, to join the association. And if you have any content to share, that we also have that displayed. Our 9th annual conference. Please, let's get prepared. Look those dates. You cannot afford to miss it. It should be there or be there. The Corporate Communications and Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, the document, the link to request for certificates of this session has been dropped on the platform, on the WhatsApp, on the chat box. Please click on it. If you are a member or non-member, you can also request for certificate of this session within 48 hours. within 48 hours. Please, you can have that done.
Introducing Dr. Olufemi Ogunlowo.
Thank you. Corporate communications, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, DG.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, professionals. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Thank you for joining us for this session. We appreciate every one of you. So we'll be having another one next week, Saturday. And what are we having? We'll be having what we call the feedback session with AHRP members. We have never done it before. So this time around is going to be the first one ever that we will be doing to get feedback from members. So what do we want to achieve? Peradventure, you've been nursing different kind of things like